Hello.
Hello, Joe, and welcome to the Quantum Tea Garden. My name is Lyra. I don't think we've met face to face.
I don't think we've met at all. And I saw at an invitation quantum tea room, and I was just intrigued, and yeah, so I joined.
Well, welcome, and I'm glad you could join today. This is just starting as an event and an experience.
Powered by Miro and the quantum tea room. I was like, oh, I got to do what this is about. So here I am.
Yeah, well, welcome. I want to just give you a brief overview of what the Quantum Tea Garden is about. My name is Lyra, and I am an herbalist and a mushroom grower and an artist.
Well, I'm passionate about herbalism myself, actually. Although I'm not. Oh, please, you were about to tell me about the thing behind you.
Yeah, this game is one of the games that my partner and I created. It's called Spark.
It is a game.
It is a game.
Cool.
And it's all about the interpersonal exploration of our values and our strengths from a place of being able to share our own understandings of those values, what they mean to us personally, and how we show up with them on our daily walk.
I'm working on a similar, I shouldn't say on a similar kind of game board. Maybe we could spend a minute to share that. I'd be happy to. I'm like excited to share more. But before that, maybe we should talk about if you're up for it, or if you're willing to, where you are situated in the world, because you mentioned herbalism, and that means plant friends, and what plant friends you might make depend on where you are in like the zones. And so I'm in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not from here originally. I'm from the East Coast of the United States. And I was introduced to herbalism through a very dear friend of mine. I've been friends with him since I was about 8 or 9 years old. Made herbalism his career. He's still teaching in New York, the New York area, upstate New York, Albany region. So yeah, I don't know. Do you want to? Do you?
Love to share. So there are many herbs. I've been in many different places. So I've been in Brooklyn. I've lived in Washington State. I've lived in Hawaii. I've lived in Southern and Northern California. And currently I'm in the Nevada area. I've done research in herbal remedies of all kinds, mainly wanting to help people who are dealing with depression, anxiety, and pain, physical pain from like car accidents and stuff like that. I've had a couple of accidents myself throughout the years, and so I had to learn how to manage my
right?
Exactly. And I started studying Reiki on the island of Maui in 1998 as a part of my journey to learn about what factors were affecting my health and what I could do to remedy those issues. So I've done a lot of exploration with kava kava, datura. I haven't done ayahuasca, but DMT. I've tried, these different herbs and medicines out there. And I'm currently promoting kava kava, which is a base of the herbal tea that I created. It's a kava kava chai tea. And it is not as invasive in your body as, say, like doing an ayahuasca trip or something.
Sure.
But it gives you this open receptivity an ability to explore, different levels of consciousness
Yeah.
in your own time. It also has a tendency to bring out the base character traits in people.
Mm.
So if you're with people that you don't know if they're well intended or not,
Yeah.
you can give them this tea and you will find
Yeah.
out pretty.
I I've heard stories about the use of kava kava, um, by indigenous people where if there was some conflict, you'd get the people together and they would take this kava kava and kind of sit there with each other. So I appreciate that. I understand what you're saying. I have a question. This is selfish of me, but I'm going to ask anyway because it's a very recent problem and something that's kind of come up mysteriously. And maybe your tea would help. But I've had this pain. It actually started after a fever, and it actually is an old injury that came up, and it started in my forearms, in both of them, and it went away in this one pretty quick during the fever, and this one, it stayed, and it actually spread, and I realized it's actually connected to a pain that I have here in my shoulder, by my shoulder, that is actually has been a constant companion, so to speak, for a number of years, and during this fever, it sort of got out.
Wow.
I don't know. Would
Well, it
I'm just
is
gonna say that and
possible.
let you reflect on it. Yeah.
What I would say is it is possible that tea can help. Um, it is also possible that there are some emotional attachments to that
Yes.
pain that you are
Mm.
dealing with, and it would require, see, so part of the kava tea ceremony and what I do with the game and what I do by providing this tea garden experience is exactly this, Joe. To be able to talk to
Mhm.
people, see what their daily goals are, what they've done yesterday versus what they're doing today, what those blockers are, and then how we can identify in the quantum field ways to overcome those blocks, because it is
Yes.
just the object of my objection, which is simply an expression of my loving kindness. And
Right.
so, I mean, that's mainly what we do here. And I do a check in with people. I let them know where I'm at, what's going on, what I'm doing in my day, how I've stepped up to what my life is and what I want it to be, because this is about being the architect of your reality. We all have that ability. That's why we're in that quantum flux all the time, right?
Mm. Sure. Yeah.
So
Well, I'm very interested in the game board. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
it's okay. You're excited, and I'm excited that you're excited. I really am glad to meet you, Joe. And I just think that we can flow at your pace. I'm good with that.
Oh, absolutely.
This is all about that exploration. How how do you connect with others in a positive and regenerative manner? How are you fulfilling your personal aspirations and dreams? They include connecting with other people, always, whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we look at those interpersonal relationships and how to develop the stronger, nurturing relationships that feed our better selves, feed our better visions and aspirations in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very curious about the game board. Like I said, I was also just working with one. Um, and I don't know if you have a bigger version of yours, but I would love to show you what I'm working on and have a chat about that.
Wow. Well, I would love to see it. And since you're on Miro, that's where this game board is also available to play.
Yeah. I'm on
So I
Miro
have
too.
another
I wonder.
room that I invite you to
Okay.
join. It's called the Purple Planning Room. Play,
Nice.
and that's built together on this board.
Yes. Right. Okay. Let's
If you put
can I
your
bring you to my
email,
room as well? Oh, I could paste my room into yours, maybe. All right,
sure.
let's go to the purple planning room and see what's going on there.
All right. So
Let's go.
I
Yes.
want to share with you the Miro board. So what I would like to do is get your email address because I think that will be the fastest way for you to enter the board.
Sure. Let me see. Where is this? There you go. That is my best email.
And then I'm going to give you the email that I have. And then we're not adding each other to the Miro boards because then that messes up our boards usually.
I know.
But it's like, what's going on here?
What I found is that I add people to the board, then I'm suddenly paying for them my Miro subscription, which is not what I'm after.
Exactly.
You know.
I know. I know this deal. So that's the email address for my okay, I have a couple of organizations. The over organization or umbrella organization is Great Works Alliance. Great Works Alliance is a project of Earth Soul Ministries, which is my ministry. I don't have it registered as a ministry because you don't have to register ministry, right? But the main project is Great Works Alliance, and then the Tea Company is our outreach platform for people to just start getting a taste of this game because this game can get really deep really fast, right?
Right.
And people get
Yeah, I
scared.
believe it.
People get scared of that kind of stuff because they're not quite ready to jump into the deep end. And so the
Yes.
tea is like that soft entry. I do have other
Oh,
teas that
that's
I'm starting to use as well.
yeah, very cool. Very cool.
But
Love it. Yeah,
so
it's a whole yeah. It's an atmosphere in a way through all these different channels.
that's the idea. I'm gonna grab a link for you, and if you can grab the link for your Miro board, then we can do
Sure.
a off this chat review and then share what we have discovered or what we want to explore more here. Because we can do a share screen
Let's do it.
on this adventure. We're on an adventure together.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, let's see here. I made a Miro board. And what I have there is really just like what I'd walk through as an introduction. And I could do that. I can go through. Oh, you got some like videos on here. So we're trying to sort of do similar things. It looks like, Lyra, which is cool. Yeah, definitely. And it looks like you are much further along than me. We're all right, moving in the same direction. That's what matters.
And the more of us that collaborate together and connect all of these dots, the faster things will
Yes.
accelerate in that positive direction. This is again going back to the quantum flux of it all. Where are we in that?
Yes, agreed. Right. It's definitely shifting the field, especially as we're resonating with each other. And really, it's about where we're coming at it from is from knowledge and building not just about the world, about ourselves, about sort of the situation we're in individually and as a collective, and whatever collective may include, but all inclusive. and or aiming towards all-inclusive, and gathering what knowledge we can to gain an understanding of that situation as best we can, and acknowledging there's going to be an ever-evolving understanding. In this first card, you can, that's my business partner, if you want to call it that. We have we see, that's all we have, and we create it because we need to have something to give this thing gravity and weight, and feel like there's a third entity here, so to speak. So we created this adjacent possible entity. And so that's my partner, John. He's based in Sweden. And this is our game board in the middle, and there's a card. There's also a card, very important aspect of this. The reason we like cards is because they're modular. You can easily, they're easy to kind of create different combinations with. You can jump from one card to another. You can use cards and think between them. So there's a lot of affordances that cards offer. And you can see, don't worry too much about the details on the game board itself. We can get into as much or as little depth as you like there. But if you look at the card, that's the understanding card. And that's not to say that this is the most important card. In fact, all the cards are sort of equally important or unimportant. But it says there, what if understanding is our ability to hold space for the possibility of knowledge as it emerges, unfolds, directs, and discloses its relevance to unexplored aspects of things known. Meaning, we know all sorts of things, but there's stuff we don't know about what we know. And so let's keep an open mind about that. That's basically all that says.
All right.
I'll say one other thing about this Facebook group. You can feel free to click through and join. It's pretty much dead at this point. At its strongest, it was 5,000 people chiming in daily, maybe a couple hundred chiming in daily, a few hundred. Since we've been trying to sort of like socially hack Facebook so as to get people to move away from clicking like buttons and instead add like considered and considerate comments to other people's posts. And we've tried to say, hey, don't click the like button, and people get upset. Like, what do you mean don't click the like? It's like, do something other than click the like button. No. So anyway, it's basically a holding space. Just a note about that. So if you go in there, you're going to see a lot of John, some of me, a few other people, and not much else. Unless you go back and use the search bar. Here are some search terms that bring up some. This was from a different conversation. So I'm sure there's search terms that we could come up with that you could use in the channel, and you'd find all kinds of interesting threads that you could pull on. So these are the questions that we ask people. Yeah, I would say we would like people to connect more authentically. We think Facebook is probably not the right place, but it's still there. It still exists for us, the space, the group, and it's filled with knowledge. And you can find that knowledge through, like, by searching the archives of the group.
I agree with you. Facebook is not a very good platform to have meaningful communication and connections. That's really the situation you'll find in most any of the social network platforms. There's a variety of reasons for that, I believe. A lot of it has to do with there's an algorithm that feeds people what they're most wanting people to look at. And so people miss the real communication that they need because it's not so much clickbait, right? And they're requiring you to be clicking on things all the time so they can make their 5 cents on every click.
Absolutely. And the question we're asking is, could we build something different? And the answer so far is you need at least people also willing to build this thing to get it up off the ground. So we're working on it.
Well, and so you've got more people who want to do that. I mean, that's one of the big things that we've been really pushing for, starting with consulting. And the reason that we want to start with consulting is because on a basic level, everybody has knowledge and information that they want to share, right?
Right.
But there's not a really structured way for people who want to learn that information to find the mentor or the consultant that's in their area, region, preference. It's like all of these interpersonal factors that pop up.
Yes.
And so a part of what we did when we created Sparkitude and the whole ecosystem that you can find at greatworksalliance.com is we set up this tiered onboarding system where you start off with your quantum wellness challenge. Do a check-in. And this check-in isn't just your physical feelings like you would do with a doctor, going to a doctor. This is about your emotional wellness. It's about your interpersonal wellness. It's about your passions and what you're really wanting in your life. And what spending your day doing. It's like, how much of your day are you spending on self-care? How much are you spending on being out in nature? How much are you spending learning? How much are you spending working, writing, reading, whatever? Right.
Yeah, it starts there for sure. Yeah, that's right. That's brilliant. And we've also looked at the idea of consulting. And it's something I'm very interested in pursuing, and something I'm sorry, I'm talking fast. Something I'm actively trying to get off the ground right now. But that component, that personal component, are you well, is sort of like, if it's not a prerequisite, it's like a first thing to address, or something that needs to be addressed before you can be sure that it's that team is going to work. But sometimes teams are funny things. Sometimes they, if they have the right groove, they can sort of work together. And I think that's towards a healthier balance. And that's something that we're trying to help with, I guess. But I really appreciate and hear what you're saying. I think that's brilliant about the tiered approach.
It's about passion. It's about what the dynamics of your individual values are too, because people have higher standards in certain values than they do others. They, not everybody's going to want to value community service, right? So you don't want to put a person who values community service in with a person who doesn't see that as a viable value that they want to work with right now. They might at some later date recognize that, but at this point in time, that's not their focus. Maybe their focus is on science, right?
Yep.
And exploration and having a love of learning, wanting to go down that road. So who can they connect with on that level? That's not going to say to them, oh, well, community service is where I'm at, and this is my big thing,
Right.
Because that turns people off, right?
Right. It's not there. It's not resonating, right? Somehow.
Exactly. Well, I looked over your board, and I will look over it some more. Would you like to take a moment to explore a little bit of the cards that are on the Miro board I shared?
Sure. All right, so I'm on your board.
So we have a meta backstory. If you pan your hand to the left and down a little bit, you'll be able to come across the enrollment. And then
I see where your pointer now.
the first one, 42, it's what we do.
Yes. Oh, wow. Nice.
So for anybody who doesn't know about 42, watch the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You will understand.
Oh, I'm familiar for sure.
This is the beginning of, like, after you've taken the quantum wellness evaluation, you get connected to our inspiring videos, and then you get to learn a little bit about, like, who we are, what we're here to share, talking about the free agent pod formation, to give people their own authority back. You know, this is all about taking your authority, your intrinsic tools, your information, and your agency back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have here, there's the subscribe button for Infinite Chronicles, which is my newsletter that you can subscribe to. It's through Substack. And then if you scroll to the right, and I'm not sure, but I'm thinking you're probably seeing my share window right now. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm following you now.
Okay. So once you take the Quantum Wellness Challenge, which is that personal evaluation, we then have our internal diagnostics, which are the deeper questions. And we invite people to walk on this journey and answer these deeper questions for internal diagnostics. You don't have to share them with the group. That's not the purpose here. The purpose is to help you be able to better formulate how you're feeling, because a lot of people have a really hard time with expressing their feelings, and you know, it's like, it isn't always easy, and you know, we don't always ask ourselves the important questions, like, what do I want to improve in my life about myself, and what are the strategies that I know for dealing with challenges that are working well, and what's not working well, and what's triggering. You know, these things are all about, like, just better understanding ourselves, so that when we go into a room where we're actually playing with others in an interpersonal evaluation, so we have our meta backstory in this fall. We go there. There are multiple pathways. So there's the Infinite Game on SoulSpark Playground, which is a online course that I host to help people build out their vision boards and explore their passions, strengths, and virtues from a really soft approach. Then we have our pathways of collaboration, which, you know, some people don't want to play a game, right? The game is the upper middle pathway, and then the lower pathway is like, if you don't want to play a game, you're done playing the game and you want to go further, where are you wanting to go?
Right.
Collaborating with others, right? But for the purpose of sharing with you a little bit about the game, because you say you're interested in the game, I'm going to zoom into the cards. Pick a card, any card.
Sure. Let's go with this leadership. PNG.
All right. So that's teamwork. Leadership is the one with music, or the musical. There's the music. Okay. Let me get my pointer so that I can zoom in better for everybody. Here. This game is developed for children as well as adults to play it together. And we've had success with both in the same environment, playing all together. That's why the cards are so fun.
Right.
Can you see the writing there?
Yeah, I think so. Let me zoom in. Mostly. All right. So let's see. Leadership. What are some identifying qualities in the character, strength, feelings? How do you feel when you act with other? I'm reading it slowly like this because it's completely clear. How do you feel
you're
when
doing
you
great.
act leadership? Yeah, leadership needs. What do you need to experience more leadership? Mission, I'm possible, superpower. I like that. Mission, I am possible, superpower identifier. And then you also on the right have a shadow identifier. Go ahead.
This is a 3-tiered exploration and can be done individually or with your family or with the community, right?
Yes.
The idea is to open a discussion about this character strength, leadership, with those that you're most close with, right? Right now, my partner Nate is talking with another individual who's developed a social game as well. He's on the East Coast, and he's working with victims of rape, like on college campuses.
Oh my. Yeah.
Because it's quite the thing. And then, those that have been raped that are on college campuses are considered to be not able to express their
I was about to say, must be isolating.
Very isolating.
Yeah, because you're in this party environment, everybody's doing all kinds of things, and it's like, well, was I even raped? I don't even know what happened there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what you felt, and you know what your experience was. So, yeah, it's traumatic.
And we need more support for people like that, men and women. I mean, it's like it happens to men too.
For sure. No, absolutely.
Not exclusive.
Yeah, and it's also I mean, it's a weird ambiguous space, college. You're figuring yourself out, you're figuring the world out, you're figuring out an expanded social scene, and accidents happen. I don't know, mistakes are made. And you got to be able to pick up the pieces, and if there's nobody even acknowledging that you're feeling that way, that's really tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I wish that he could be on this call. He's just like we're experiencing issues with connection. He's got an even older device that really causes issues. So,
yeah. If only Elon Musk wasn't such a jerk, we could be on Starlink, right? Satellite internet.
Well, so my feelings have changed over the years, kind of optimism and hope, to one of optimism and understanding this new technocracy that's coming.
Yeah.
That is being spearheaded by our current administration. It's scary.
Absolutely.
And it can get really dangerous really fast if we don't, as individuals.
Do you really think it? I mean, I see the new administration really just going full bore. Like, I completely agree with you there, but I feel like it was coming no matter what. Like, I feel like, yeah, okay, yeah. But I agree. Like, Musk really conveniently has all these pieces in place to make it happen, doesn't he? And he's also now like right in there at the Treasury Department, working with the purse strings, which ultimately is the one place where they might be able to stop him. Although the challenge is if everyone, not everyone, if enough people, a loud enough majority are all in favor of what they're doing, and let's be honest, what they're doing, told in the right story light, looks great. Oh, you're going in and you're clearing out all the nonsense that's been going on for the past whoever knows how long. Thank goodness. But man, like what's real? What do they got planned here? You got to ask the next question and the question after that before you get too excited. So we'll see where this all goes. I'm hopeful that. What am I hopeful for? It's a good question, right? I'm hopeful that like there's that it ends up being creative destruction and people are able to rally together. I was on a Facebook thread earlier today and like they were just people complaining about Musk and saying he's complaining about, what did they say? Oh, it was a coup. And it's like, well, right now they've got the mandate to rule. Like they're popular. I'm not saying like everyone everywhere is into what they're doing. There's plenty that are descending, but like the news isn't reporting in the way that it was in 2016. And right now, and like the protest is far less visible, even if it's happening at the same rate. And it's like, don't give me something to fight against. Give me something to fight for. That's what we need, is something to fight for. And a vision that uses technology in a way that isn't technocracy. I was on a call recently that they brought up Murray Bookchin and his vision of how we can come together is something that that resonates with me. Something that's in the way that the cards in our system are. It's like a flat ontology. It's like everything is equal. We don't need to have like this tiered system. Not that I understand where tiers come from. I'm not criticizing your tiered system. That's a process tier, not a hierarchy, a fixed hierarchy. It's a different thing. But not have this like tiered, class system. Let's call it that. Would be a great thing to fight for. So, yeah.
Humans are by nature tribal creatures.
Yes.
And what has happened is that the elite have used that archetype, that protocol, that's like an ingrained protocol in us, to create and disseminate through a class system.
Yes.
Throughout time, and the closest to being a fair tiered system,
right,
is to recognize the skills, aptitude, and intent of the people.
Right.
But that's not what they do.
No. Yeah. Right. Well, I agree. And I also think it's hard to make that call because who is in position to judge someone else? I mean, we're all in a position to judge for ourselves, but judge for someone else is very difficult this is where I get caught up, and where I think actually technology could be helpful. Um, I think meritocracy has its merits, but I also think like how we create value for each other and for the world is something that is unique to each of us. So like, and I think you as an herbalist understand this very well. Like every plant has value to people, has value in its community of plants, has things about it that make it not good for some people in some community of plants. There's some context that that plant is not going to do well in. But having a space for that plant where that plant can thrive is really, well, nature takes care of that, right? Can we take care of that in the complexity of the human social landscape where there's 9 billion of us on the planet? That's the challenge. Yeah.
I'm a fan of Star Trek.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So a lot of what we've built is based on the Federation
cool.
model. But
Yes.
the Federation model of Star Trek was one of being explorers, and you gained merit and pips based on your performance and based on your interaction with others. So there's a way that we can use meritocracy within our bioregions to enable people to recognize, because people want to be seen and heard, right?
Yeah, that's
Everyone wants to be seen and heard.
Yes.
And so the idea behind it is, first I take a personal value system of myself. Like I do my first personal merit analysis of who I am. And I'm going to try to be as truthful as possible, but of course I'm biased because it's me. I'm looking at me. Right? It's hard to be the observer of who you are without having filters and expectations and wanting to embellish things, because that's what we do.
Sure.
But
Yes.
if we have that core basis of understanding, identifying again those character strengths and virtues that we value most, so whether that's compassion, empathy, love of learning, leadership skills, teamwork, community engagement, whatever it is, what is our, not only what is our engagement in those values, like what do we see as, like, how much effort we're using to walk in that strength or virtue.
Yeah.
We have a better understanding that we can then share with others who identify in similar ways.
Right.
And then we give our peers, our real peers, an opportunity to do a mirror analysis of us.
That's interesting. Yeah, right. Our peers, right. Our chosen peers.
Our chosen peers.
Right.
I mean, in law, that's like mandatory for any trial, right?
Right.
You are judged by your peers. Of course, they don't uphold the true meaning of that, but the idea is we're talking about the peers that we choose, that we recognize are on the same level as us.
Right.
Right?
That's very powerful.
And so if we can, in community, because it's not going to just be like an automatic thing where the whole world says, oh yeah, let's do this type of meritocracy. Oh yeah, let's care about these things in this way.
Right.
But to test it out in different bioregions, in different community environments, different work environments. So a big part of what we do is that testing. right?
Yeah.
Whenever we're creating these games, when you create a game, when I create a game, when Dee creates a game, the idea is we're doing a test of human social interaction.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the more of those tests that we can perform, not only from the perspective of creating it, but of taking other people's challenges on, like the Quantum Wellness Challenge. I'm inviting you, please.
Sure.
Take the challenge. The more that we can do that with each other, we end up with a reciprocal and regenerative feedback.
Right.
That regenerative feedback loop helps things become more synergistic and aligned in a way that it becomes an autonomic response mechanism.
Yeah.
But we weren't born with these things. We weren't raised with this stuff. We were given these tools as young adults. And so we can't look at anybody's map and say,
Right.
oh, that's how you do it. We have to build our own map.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Of how to do it.
Right.
Because that's the only way that it becomes personal. Right?
That's right.
And so I think that that's what is going to be the main quantum shift. And not everybody's going to take the challenge.
No, I fully agree. Yeah, well, when we talk about our platform that we'd like to build, it's like we feel like if we get 300,000 people in there, that would be that's the moonshot. 300,000 out of 9 billion. That's not to say it's elitist, or it's just we know it's not for everyone, right? It's not for everyone to get really nerdy on stuff like design cybernetics, or I'm just like looking at my bookshelf, or user experience. That's my day job. Whatever, storytelling. It's not for everybody to dive in that deep, and some people are happy to. Some people are well situated and don't need to dive so deep, but other people, we live in a very complex society, so it's not always easy to be well situated. So we're trying to find those people, and I think you're in the same place where you're trying to find those people who are sort of in transition and are looking for something, looking for what's next, or how to get into a groove, or get find their way towards like self-actualization, that sort of thing.
Self-actualization is what it's all about. I mean, and I'm sure you've seen posts in the group, the Rainbow Bridge chat group and other groups about like transitioning from the third dimension to the fifth dimension.
I very rarely check. This is very serendipitous that we ended up talking, because I have like I said, I don't even lurk. It's there, and I'm like, oh, that pretty icon, it's there. I have two children. They're 9 and 11, and I work a full-time job for a corporation, one that is probably not entirely evil. I mean, it's existing in a capitalist thing, so it's forced to be evil to some degree, but it tries to be as good as possible. And so I'm busy, right? So there's a lot of things that I resonate with that I try to keep in the periphery, so that some serendipitous thing like this can happen. But I and what you're saying about from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, that definitely I have a concept of that. But yeah, I don't have the details of it, but I have a concept of what I think you mean.
You have the concept. There aren't really specific details for this shift.
Right.
The specific details of this shift are really personal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that, hey, we're all going to go in this shift and transition into the fifth dimension. But it really is a personal shift, because the truth is we live in a four-dimensional reality.
Yeah.
We don't live in a three-dimensional reality.
Right.
Three-dimension would be having a cube that doesn't change, doesn't move,
on the desk
is
forever.
stationary.
Yeah.
Forever.
Right.
We have time, which permeates all dimensions and creates that fourth dimensional warp that we continually experience, right?
Right.
And it is a fifth dimensional perception of what is our experience that is that real shift. So it's going to be different for you than it is for me.
Yeah.
We might share some commonalities, but our body isn't going to change shape.
Right. And we'll phase in and out of it too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There'll be moments when we're very much in the third dimension where we're, you know, not to be crude, but every time you go to the bathroom for a minute there, you probably are, right? You know?
Stationary. Except for your mind, right?
Right.
Where did
Exactly.
you go? It went into the quantum field, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, for sure. I definitely resonate with what you're saying. And yeah, and that's I think our goals are aligned also in that what we're trying to do is get people more in tune with those higher dimensions of thinking, so that they're able to do it more readily and more consciously. And also there's like an important realization, because like I think you can get into that. Tell me, please feel free to what do you want to say? Counter me on this. But I think you could be in the fifth dimension. You could be thinking in the fifth dimension possibility space, and really be thinking selfishly, like thinking about your own best benefit, which works great for there's a Johnny Cash song. He might be covering somebody, but he says you can run on for a long time, but sooner or later, God will cut you down. So you can go on that path for a long time, and maybe your whole life, but that selfish path. So also connecting back into the fact that we're all connected. So do you agree that like you can be in that fifth dimensional sort of awareness, but also being acting from a very, egocentric or selfish place? Is that true?
Well, I feel that what you're really looking to express here is the aspiration.
Please, yeah.
The aspiration to be in the fifth dimension. So you're saying you are, even though what your actions are showing is that of the third and fourth dimensional.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's right. Right. Because if you're really if you're anchored in the third and thinking in the fifth, then you're still in the third, right? You're still anchored in the third. That's brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
And that's okay. It's like the one thing that people are afraid of that are looking at all of these posts about shifting into the fifth dimension is, I'm going to leave my family behind if I shift into the fifth dimensional reality and perceptions. Well, no, you won't leave them behind.
Yeah.
They're still going to be there. You can visit them.
Right.
But if they're not ready for that shift in consciousness and realizing what's in it for me is what's in it for you, is what's in it for them.
Right. That's right.
Like, how are you defining what's in it for you?
Yeah. Your relationship with your parents can change drastically as you sort of, I guess I'll use your language. But it's not mine natively, or I'm adopting it right here. But as you shift into that fifth dimensional thinking, or not being, I guess being that fifth dimensional being, your relationship can change drastically with your parents, and I think being okay with that and then, finding love for them, they took care, they held you.
Yeah. Well, and I can give you a personal experience because I had a hard childhood. My
Yeah.
parents, and I'm hoping my children will also come to somewhat of a similar realization in their own lives, because we had a hard life together, and they were.
Yeah.
That's a whole other dimension that I don't really like to go down because it is painful.
Yeah, exactly. I understand. Yeah.
But it's like, for my relationship with my parents, it was about forgiving them.
Yeah.
Forgiving them for the way that they were, and it was up to them whether or not they accept that forgiveness. But I still don't have, I don't have that baggage.
Yes.
I let go.
Right.
I don't have the expectation.
But then when you show, can I ask this? When you show up, if I'm assuming a lot that they're around and that you're in touch with them and all that, if you show up with them or anybody that you're in that position with, do you feel they respond differently to you?
If they are ready to
Mm.
accept it, they
Right.
will respond in the like kind. If they are not ready to accept it, they will reject you completely.
Yeah.
They will say you're full of it.
Right. Right.
That, it's one of those narcissistic tendencies where the story is always they were the victim and you were the perpetrator.
Right.
Because of what you thought or what you said or what happened. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, and you have to forgive yourself too in
Yeah.
this process, because if you don't forgive yourself, you're still holding on to that baggage.
Yeah. That's right. That's so true. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And so, it's like, yeah, I speak with my father constantly. I used to speak with my mother too. And I even told her I forgave her, and we had lots of conversations, and she would still come up with some of the same expressions, I
Yes.
guess.
It's a pattern. She's in that
It's
pattern. Yeah.
right.
Maybe
And
she doesn't know another pattern to go to, That's
right.
what's comfortable. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, it's like, for your own health and well-being, the fifth dimensional path again is to release that expectation, release the anxiety and the past, because the past is not who you are right now.
Yeah.
We die every second, and a
Right.
new us is born the
Right.
second after.
The what? What was the word you said?
The second after.
Oh, the second after. The second after. Yeah. Yeah.
The 1 second you're dead, and the second after you're alive again. Why? Because you have just gone through another vortex.
Mm.
And death is just okay. So I had an experience when I was 11 years old. This is where a lot of my understanding of death and rebirth comes from.
Mm.
When I was 11 years old, I was hit by a car head on, and I have 4 staples and 2 plates keeping my skull together.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
dead for like 2.5 minutes. My entire life totally scrambled, right?
Yeah.
Totally scrambled.
Yes.
And when I came back, I had knowledge and information that was in my spirit, soul, but wasn't coming through my head, in words to be
Yeah.
able to convey to people, because it was a shitload of information.
Right.
Excuse my language, but I mean, it was.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah.
And so when I started doing my practices as a Reiki practitioner, doing meditation daily, I would look and explore and learn about death and rebirth. and what that means in the perception of being a caterpillar to a butterfly.
Yeah.
Because that caterpillar died before that butterfly became a butterfly.
For sure. It turned into soup, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the process that we go through constantly.
Right.
We're just a bag of soup.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of miraculous. I mean, you learn about all the different organs and the bloodstream and but like, I don't know, how did it all come to be like that over even, it's just miraculous. That's, I never, from one moment to the next, but like here's a question, and just a question. What like separates a moment? I'm assuming it's not, I mean, I don't know actually. Is it just each, is it like a scientific like measure of equal time, or is there some like how do you define a moment, or what signals that transition, or is it just the transition?
I think that it's just the transition, honestly, because we never die.
Yeah. Yeah.
We never really die. We
Right.
just change form, perception, understanding, and we become more of who we came here to learn to be.
Right.
It's that pre-memory. So we already remembered, but then we forgot it so that we could remember it again.
Right.
Because it's in our DNA, right?
Yeah.
It's in our spirit. It's in our soul.
Yes. It's out there. Heart. Yeah.
It's in the ether.
Right.
It's a part of like the ether is a part of us, and we are a part of the ether. That's that quantum entanglement.
Right. Right. The whole field, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is
an experience. It changes like our DNA. So when we have those epiphanies, when we have those learning curves that happen, our DNA changes. And so we're constantly morphing.
I see. Right. Yeah. So
that's my personal belief. I mean, other people might say something totally different, and I'm cool with that.
Right. Right. Well, and I mean, how much are you speaking poetically and metaphorically? And like you said, changing our DNA, like, somebody who's a molecular biologist would know all the well, okay, I'm going to say know all the mechanics of DNA and be like, we don't see that. So is there like a poetic metaphorical connection there, or is it, or do you or is it actually changing literally, or is there something about I don't know. Yeah, I'll just put that out there and ask. Not that it's that important a question, but just curious.
It really is. It is, because it has been scientifically proven that our thoughts change our reality.
Yes.
And they change our DNA.
Yes.
Specifically, our telomeres.
Yes.
So when a person is depressed and telling themselves negative thoughts, their DNA strands get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much protein, how much vitamins, how much nutrition they put in their
B4D stuff they're doing. Yeah.
They'll still have those short telomere strands.
Right.
If that very same person spends 30 days doing a walk and talk of empowerment and then gets tested again, scientifically, it is shown that their base strands have been extended again.
Right. So literally your DNA, maybe some specific area of the DNA, but specifically that. Yeah, that's brilliant. Hey,
I started reading books by psychologists and psychiatrists when I was about 18 years old. And one of those books is called The Seat of Your Soul. It's by a guy named Gary Zukav. And there have been other books that are along the same lines that talk about the transformation of our DNA and how it's based on what we are telling ourselves, the information that we are telling ourselves and we are accepting.
You said the seat of our souls?
The seat of your soul.
Your soul. The seat of your soul. By
Should be
Gary
Zukav.
Okay. Sorry, continue. I just like to get those things.
Yeah. It started opening my mind about like what it means to be in this physical form. Because this is a part of a journey that I chose, right?
Yeah.
And I chose it from a perspective of a group consciousness.
Right.
Splitting into an individual consciousness.
Right. Interesting.
So,
yeah.
When it started, it was like this oversoul,
right?
We call it, said, all right, these are the things that we need to pass through to get to the next level. Like, as individual entities or fractures of a whole,
right?
In order to combine again into a more harmonious, synchronistic being.
Right.
And each of us from this level goes on with memories. Like, there are so many people that have been told that they are reincarnated, Cleopatra, Alexander,
right,
or whatever. What that really speaks to me of is that there was that archetype,
right,
that was what the oversoul was activating. And so the information is being fed through that oversoul to each individual fraction.
Yes.
Because, again, we're all expressions of each other. We're mirror images of each other.
Right.
So if we can, I mean, that goes back to looking at that quantum entanglement and how we as an individual, that we identify with the ego. How do we then say, okay, as my ego, I'm still coming back to this entangled mass of an oversoul? And I'm saying, all right, how does this individual that is me connect with this individual that's 2 degrees away from me?
Right.
We then become one again, still maintaining our autonomy as individuals.
Yes. That's fascinating. That's the question.
That's the question, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Right. That's the one I mean, in one form or another, is the one I wrestle with a lot. And it's a funny one to be wrestling with, because I'm just here, right? We're just here on I could spend all my time, thinking about my family and the house I'm trying to pay the mortgage down to, and so to think about try to think about like how we should be relating to one another. I don't know, I'm just drawn to it. I have affinity for that. So yeah, it's really exciting to meet other people who have that affinity. It's not something I come across all that often. I have a few folks who John is one of them, who I have. So I appreciate meeting you for that reason.
And I appreciate meeting you too for that reason, because that's the idea here. We create this quantum pool of people who are all looking for these answers. And we share that combined knowledge so that hopefully we can become closer to that epiphanatic safe zone. It's like you have the epiphany, you can hold hands with me, I can hold hands with you. We feel that same connection and nothing's going to break it.
Right.
We find ourselves in friendships and relationships all the time that break.
Sure.
Why do they break? There are some factors. There are lots of factors.
Yeah.
I mean,
take your choice. Yeah.
Communication is a really big one.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, so is dominance versus codependence. That's it.
I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure if that's one, because yes, dominance, codependence. Yeah, there's all kinds of unhealthy relationship types. Yeah.
Right. And how do we get out of the? So that I experienced a lot of unhealthy relationships. So I had to figure out. Nobody was giving me any real good advice. I had to figure out for myself how to get out of these codependent relationships without hurting myself, putting myself at risk. And the other part of that is repeating the same pattern over and over again, expecting results.
Right. That's right. Yeah. It's hard though, right? You get into a pattern, and it's hard to even notice the pattern, and then if you even can, how do you get out of that? How do you find a new pattern? That can be tricky. And I've done it a number of times. But yeah, like what we're talking about with what was it? Trying to think. Oh, with my shoulder, and how that might be some emotional pain or something I'm holding on to. What is that? It's actually, can I tell you a weird story? I'm assuming I can, but I'll still ask. So my wife is from India, and we go there to visit. I mean, we haven't been since 2020, and you could probably imagine why. She's been back, but we haven't been back with the family since 2020. And so on this trip, we went, and we've established ourselves enough in our lives and careers where I had enough money to like actually buy something like that was of some value. And this is not that much value, but so I purchased this emerald. And I bought this, it's 2-carat emerald. It's a couple $100, but I would not have spent a couple $100 on an expensive vacation before. So it was a big moment for me. So this emerald, I actually got it from a guy who was a palm reader and an astrologer. And he sort of drew me in, and not to use that language, but he drew me in by doing palm readings for my kids. And he asked if that was okay with me first. And he said things that, and I am a fan of astrology. I couldn't say I practice it to any degree of sophistication, but I know enough about my kids' charts to hear when he says that my daughter has a strong Mars, and that my son is well, I know enough about my children too, that my son is like really good at calculating. That those are really, I mean, to be able to come up with that with subtlety. He had some sophistication, right? In his, so he read my palm, and he said, "Oh, I see your Mercury needs support." He said, "Oh, I see you're trying to start a venture. I see you're trying to," he said all these things. And he says, "I see your Mercury needs support." And he said, "Take this emerald and wear this emerald, and you'll see in a year, you won't believe where you'll end up." And I'm like, "Well, that sounds good. I'll buy this emerald, and I'll wear this emerald." And so I wore it for a week, and you can see I'm not wearing it right now. I would like to. I wore it for a week, and I did some what I think was good writing. Wrestled some really complicated ideas into an article which I published online, and I felt really good about it. And then we returned home, and in the transit home, I got really sick, and I developed this cough right under where the emerald was resting. And I should also say, like, in the middle of the night, towards the end of our trip, I got up out of bed, and the emerald fell off literally into my hand. I was like, oh, that's weird. So I put it back on, and then I'm back in my house with 103 plus temperature, and I like wake up, and I'm like, I got to take this emerald off, and I took the emerald off, and I started to feel better, and I try and yeah, all this stuff with my wrist. Like I was sick for about 4 days, and I was not in any shape to go back to work for a full week, and I was still coughing for like the month, but I was getting progressively better. And then I would put the emerald on, and like I'd get a relapse in the cough, and then I put it on again 2 days ago, and I caught the flu, and uh, and so
it hasn't been cleansed. That's what's happening. Is
the
you're
emerald
getting
hasn't been cleansed.
exactly. You're getting the what you're getting is the negative effects from the mining
of the emerald.
Yes.
All this time I'm thinking I got to work it myself, which I'm sure I do, but
and because the emerald by natural default, so this is my crystal Reiki book, and the emerald by nature
I activated the emerald. You know what I mean by that? I activated it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I activated it too, and yeah. Anyway, so please tell me more. Please tell me more.
So it's supposed to improve your circulation. So that's why I'm saying it wasn't properly cleansed. It also supports homeostasis and accelerates healing. So when it's pure, when it's been cleansed, then you will have a positive effect with it. But you're experiencing all of the damage that happened because it had trauma.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Crystals hold on to energy. They hold on to information. And if you don't properly cleanse them, that then carries over onto you. I have a friend who has a crystal shop. She's up in Washington, and she does crystal cleansing and stuff too. But the best
where in Washington?
She's in Spokane.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in like Redmond area, Seattle, Redmond area.
So she has Simply Unique Boutiques. It's at the Spokane mall. It's the only mall in Spokane. So her name's Misty, and if you mention Sparkitude to her, she'll give you a discount. That you know about Sparkitude, which is the game that we looked at earlier.
Yep.
So, as far as what you can do for the emerald and for yourself is get a bowl of salt water at the new moon.
Okay.
So you can use pink Himalayan salt or regular salt. It doesn't matter. And you put that crystal into the water.
Yeah.
And at new moon, because that's when it does
on the day of the new moon. I have a calendar here that tells me when the new moon is on the 27th. So I do it on the 27th. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, it's going into Pisces. I have a stellium there.
All right. I'm a quadruple Aries, so
my daughter has a lot of Aries. Yeah.
A lot of Aries. But so, just like for being able to help make that a useful tool to you.
Yeah.
That would be great.
So bowl of water with salt.
Sea salt.
Sea salt. Okay. Any specific measure of sea salt?
I would do a tablespoon.
Okay.
To probably a gallon.
Okay.
And the reason I use so much water is because you want the moon to actually have an effect on the body of water, right?
Yeah.
Because moon, that's what the moon does. It affects water. And put it outside if you can, if it's safe. If it's not safe, put it in your window, you know.
Right. Yes.
Make sure you have a safe place for it, and just do that for 24 hours.
Okay.
Let it soak for 24 hours. That will cleanse the crystal and make it useful again.
Okay.
And you will find that some of that circulation issue is relieved. Now, what you told me about having a cough and it being right there where the pendant was resting, that has more to do with your heart than it does your
lungs. Well, it's supposed to balance my heart and mind, is what he was saying.
Mm-hmm. So it might be that you're going to be going through some transformations in just your feelings. And yeah, there might be pain that you will experience while going down this path of healing. I trust me, I've felt a lot of pain going back through the path of healing. It's not an easy path, but if you choose to go on this path, you will be like so greatly rewarded but you have to be open to it.
Yeah, I'm open to it.
It's like, as a Reiki master, I will send Reiki healing to you through my long distance healing.
Please
send
do.
It emerald, and you will experience some shifts in yourself.
Yeah. Well, I welcome it.
I will do that now then, since you have accepted it.
Thank you.
And then I place my hand on my heart to send that to you. Healing. Releasing those old wounds and that grief, wherever it may be, wherever it may lie. I ground it, send it to Mother Earth, release it, and it dissolves. All right.
Thank you very much.
Oh, now I'm really hot.
Thank you.
Increase my body temperature there, send you that energy.
I appreciate that. I felt it.
I'm glad you received that, and know that the one meditation that is available in the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah.
That meditation I created to help anybody who's dealing with quantum flux and issues and wants to more clearly define their vision for this year. You go through a lot of different wormholes in this meditation, like vortexes of shifts. And so I encourage you to watch that.
Okay. It's in the, so wait a minute, you said it's in the Rainbow Bridge. Is it in the chat?
It's in the link. Yeah, it's in the chat. It's the link above the link to today's meeting.
Oh, cool.
So you'll see Stargate there.
Oh, excellent. I will definitely check this out. Yeah, what should we do to continue the conversation? Because we barely scratched the surface with the game. Yeah.
So I do host the Quantum Tea Garden Wednesdays and Saturdays. And I
Excellent.
invite you to participate in those meetings. Hopefully the conversation will expand there. And we do want to make sure to do some checklists in the stand-up. So when you first came into the room, how you saw what was yesterday like, what's today like, what are your blocks. When we go into that, we're basically opening up to a conversation where others can provide information, provide their own wisdom to share, so that, it's not just you running around in your own head when you've got a block, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then when you've accomplished something, you got a support network that you can have to. And so that's one thing to do. And the other thing would be to go visit greatworksalliance.com and take that quantum wellness challenge. And then I can send you a graph that'll show you like where your energy is focused.
All right, I'll definitely do that. Awesome. This is amazing. I'm glad I clicked the link. It was sort of just I don't know what impelled me to do it, but I did. I guess so that I could get my I guess so that we could do this, right? So we could do all this.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Lyra, it was really wonderful to meet you and to do this have this conversation. I really appreciate it. It's amazing.
Welcome to the tea garden. You're always welcome to join.
I appreciate that. There's a lot of connections with tea gardens too, which we can get into at some point. Well, there's a few that we can get into at some point. Cool. I can't wait till we talk again.
Yes, me too. It was very enjoyable. And you have a great evening and spend time with your mom.
You bet. I will. Take care, Lyra. Enjoy it.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening. Bye.